I call the honourable member Kevin Haig. Tēnā koe, Mr Haig.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Tēnā koe te whare. Mr Speaker, I want to begin by echoing Denise Roche's words that the Green Party will be supporting this bill and expressing, I guess, my personal thanks to Honourable Simon Bridges and his predecessor, Honourable Kate Wilkinson, for actually progressing this legislative reform. Mr Speaker, I attended most of the Royal Commission of Inquiry into the Pike River disaster. I was one of the submitters, in fact, to that Royal Commission. There was a particularly dramatic moment when Dr Kathleen Callaghan took the stand to give her evidence about human factors. Dr Callaghan is an expert in what goes wrong in disasters. She has specialised previously in air crash disaster investigation, for example. And she began with a list of factors: inexperienced workers, undertrained workers, fatigued workers, pressure to increase production, inadequate brakes, low unionisation, missing equipment, faulty equipment, poorly maintained equipment, poor oversight by the regulator. There were other matters in her list. And she said all of those factors were present in the Pike River mine, all of them. I come from the health sector, sir, and in the health sector we talk about risk environments, environmental factors that lead to health or illness. And all of those factors that I've mentioned, sir, are not individual factors, they are environmental factors that lead to error and to disaster. And Mr Speaker, what that highlights is that there was no individual worker inside that mine who could have dealt with any of those things. It required a systems approach. And yet, as others have said, in 1992, the Health and Safety and Employment Act was brought into legislation, placing an onus on employers to take all practicable steps. Mr Speaker, that was based on an ideology that was wrong. It was based on ignoring something about economics that most of economic theory, most of the actions of government is based on, that the firm will seek to maximise profit, and it will do that by minimising its costs. That's what it's supposed to do. So the weasel words of all practicable steps, the weak oversight from the Department of Labour, gave employers an out. It gave them the opportunity to take a shortcut if they wished to, in order to minimise their cost and maximise their profit. Deregulation, hands-off government and weasel-worded legislation caused the Pike River mine disaster. They killed those 29 men. And that disaster was not an isolated accident or incident. It was just a low-frequency but entirely predictable consequence of that 1992 Act. In forestry, sir, we see an inexperienced and undertrained workforce. We see an industry forced into more marginal and steeper land. We see production pressure to increase production because right now the price is a bit higher. We see long supply chains, long contractual chains with weak oversight and controls. And until very recently, we saw almost no oversight, sir. No wonder that when decent inspection began again, an unprecedented number of serious problems was found. So, Mr Speaker, we welcome this legislation. We believe that it should be stronger. We note, as Denise Roche said, it still contains that practicability test that I've spoken of many times in this House. We believe it could resume the NOSAC committee to actually have some systematic review of what's going on in occupational safety and health. But we welcome the legislation. We look forward to the submissions, and we look forward to the opportunity to work with the government to make this a stronger bill. Thank you, sir.
Mr Speaker.
I call the honourable member Louise Upston.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I proudly commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Health and Safety Reform Bill, first reading.
The question therefore before the House, honourable members, is that the Health and Safety Reform Bill be considered by the Transport and Industrial Relations Committee. Those who have that opinion will please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. Therefore, we come to Government Order of the Day number 3.
Electoral Amendment Bill, third reading.
Mr Speaker.
I call the Honourable Minister Simon